Good evening, YouTube. Come here. Okay, so tonight, actually, let me still do this. Let me still do this. Let me see what comes up for me. I'm not even, I did not prepare a Bible verse. I was gonna read something else. So let me read what I have planned because I don't like grabbing Bible verses before I read them. So this moved me, and this is what I want to talk about today. Specifically because, or I just want to read this passage about this saint that I came into contact with. Hold on one second. That I came into contact with because it was just very interesting to me. It moved me. It was very touching. So give me a second here. And I remember there was one time that I said, Santa Muerte is the patron saint of gang stalking. And I was moved to say that because of how personal it seems to me, or it feels to me, that she takes the issue. So I came today upon this, oh, it's on my, I can't read it, hold on. I came upon this other saint, and I don't think they're all necessarily different, to be honest with you. Let's see if it actually, I should have done that. Let's see if it actually opens for me. And I'm gonna go ahead and read about this. Just give me a second. I actually did not plan on reading it from the original platform that I came on, or that I first saw it on. However, the story that they had was very beautiful, so I'm just gonna read it from a post. So this is called the Our Lady of the Forsaken. She is called Our Lady of the Forsaken. So it says, the Advocation story says that in 1380, 10 pious citizens from Valencia came together to establish a confraternity dedicated to the welfare of vulnerable children. 20 years later, by 1400, this confraternity adopted the Virgin Mary as its patron saint, with a sculpture believed to have been miraculously crafted by angels, and named it Our Lady of the Forsaken. The Marian devotion arrived in Peru in 1629 when Bartolome Calef, a native of Valencia, sought permission to erect a chapel in Lima behind the governmental palace dedicated to Our Lady of the Forsaken. Upon Calif's passing, his daughter transferred the rights to the devotion of the... Sorry, let me read that slower. Upon Calif's passing, his daughters transferred the rights to the devotion to the Society of Jesus, who by 1658 had taken control of the chapel originally constructed by Calif. Je suis, that's how I say it, because it seems like it's French, but it's not je suis, it looks like a name, or it's spelled like Je suis scholar Ruben Vargas Ugart discovered a document authored by Je suis friar Francisco del Castillo, indicating that the master sculptor Tomas de la Parra, P-A-R-R-A, I guess there's a Y in the middle, E, Peralta, I'm sorry, I'm not Spanish, so I'm gonna butcher that, created the image of Our Lady of the Forsaken of Lima. Castillo's account provides a description of the image, which is mirrored in the Thoma painting. So well finished and so perfect that it might, without exaggeration, rival the original in Valencia. If the latter were born of the ingenuity and skill of angels, whereas this is the fruit of the study of art, and the ingenuity of the love of men. The Virgin holds the infant Jesus in her left hand, and like a scepter, the right holds a bunch of Madonna lilies on both sides, as if drawing on the beauty of her divine face. Two innocent children, their hands held towards her, their knees bent, find certain protection in her shadow. And I read it and I was very moved by it, because I always talk about female presence in spirituality being missing. This is all we're here for. This is, in my opinion, what is happening right now. There is female presence constantly missing. Now, I want to find facts about her that, because sometimes I feel like when I find facts, they are so heavy in pieces of information that just take away from the general idea, and I don't want to sit here and struggle with Spanish. And I'm not even going to tell you guys I mean, if you can speak Spanish, then you should probably look it up, or maybe you know about it, but I don't know. I want to just, let me just see, who is Our Lady of the Forsaken? So she, it seems to me, she goes by different names. Some of it is, like, I've seen Our Lady of the Abandoned, I've seen the Saint of the Forsaken, Our Lady of the Forsaken, the Virgin of the Forsaken. So she goes by different names. And so let me see, maybe Wikipedia might be the best source, even though I don't always like Wikipedia for stuff like this. I started reading the Wikipedia version and I was not highly impressed. Okay, we're gonna have to read Wikipedia. Maybe it might have the most general overview. So, Our Lady of the Forsaken. So she is a Spanish saint. She is the Catholic invocation of the Virgin Mary. I thought the Virgin Mary was a Catholic saint. It seems I am wrong. I don't know what she is then. She is the patroness of Valencia and one of 7 patrons of the autonomous communities of Spain. She appears with a lily in one hand, and in the other she carries the baby Jesus, who bears the cross in his arms. His posture is categorized by a slight, her posture, is categorized by a slight tilt, a slight forward tilt, and hence she is known affectionately as the Hunchback of Valencia. Her image is housed in the Basilica de la Mer, and I'm not gonna read the rest of the name. If you wanna know where she is housed, you gotta look it up. Her origin. Legend tells on the 24th of February, 1409, a Friday at the beginning of Lent, a Mercedarian friar named Joan Gilibert Joffre was on his way from the priory on Mercy Street to St. Catherine's Church in Valencia to deliver a sermon. It's like a woman wrote this. It's heavy on insignificant details. It doesn't, like, this is, Wikipedia is heavy when it's with another language. It's difficult to read through the muddle. But anyways, we're gonna work with it. On the way on Silverworks Street, now Martin Mengod Street, he witnessed the lynching of a mentally ill man and intervened to save the man. In response to this event, he preached on the subject of care of the mentally ill and established a hospice for the mentally ill. A manuscript of Manuel Calvo dated 22nd December 1848 reads, oh my God, it reads in Spanish. Let us translate. The passage reads in English. In this city, one finds many very important pious and charitable works. However, there is one great need, and that is a hospital or a house where the innocent, the poor, and the mad can be cared for. There are many such people wandering this city, suffering from cold and hunger because they cannot earn a living or ask for help. They sleep on the streets, starving and cold. Many wicked people who do not have God in their hearts insult them, point at them when they are asleep, injure them, and kill them and rape innocent women. It also happens that some of those who are mad attack citizens on the streets. Everyone in Valencia knows this. It would be a good thing, a very holy work, if Valencia were to build a house or a hospital where the innocent poor and the mad could be housed so that they would not be on the streets being hurt or making trouble. 10 people responded by building the hospital they called El Hospital de los Locos. And on 1st June 1410, Sancta Mary officially opened the Hospital de Innocents, and I can't read the rest of it, under the protection of the Virgin del Innocent, known by the people as Holy Nostra Donna Maria del Innocent. The Brotherhood. On 29th August 1414, a brotherhood was founded under the invocation of Sancta del Fall Donna Nostra. I'm so scared to say this word. Desemparats Innocent. It sounds like desperate. I'm assuming it means I'm gonna stop trying to read it in another language. I am butchering it so badly. So I'm going to start again. On 29th August 1414, a brotherhood was founded under the invocation of Our Lady of the Insane and the Forsaken Innocents. Initially, the goal of the brotherhood was to help the mentally ill. However, due to famine and a high number of orphans left by the plague, there were many bereft children on the streets of Valencia, and so the Brotherhood extended its care to homeless and abandoned children. 2 years later, in keeping with this, the patroness was renamed Our Lady of the Forsaken. In addition to raising funds for the hospital, the brothers also saw to the burial sites of the dead, including hospital patients, shipwrecks, sailors, and prostitutes. In the Iberian Peninsula and Latin American Spanish-speaking countries, the model of the hospital, I'm going to go back to it, the model of the hospital of Our Lady of the Insane and Unforgotten Innocents was a forerunner in care of the mentally ill. The Miracle of the Angels. Joffrey and the brothers constructed an oratory in the hospital to house an image to Our Lady of the Forsaken. According to legend, 3 young men dressed as pilgrims arrived and offered to make an image of the Virgin within 3 days in exchange for their board. They were taken to a place known as the Hermitage. After 4 days and without any sound emanating from within, the brothers forced the door and found the image of the Virgin Mary. The mysterious pilgrims had disappeared. Shortly after, a paralyzed and blind woman who was the wife of one of the brothers was cured. The innocent gave rise to the legend of Made by the Angels. Basilica of the Virgin of the Forsaken. The basilica, which now houses the image of Our Lady, was built on the site of a Roman temple. A Renaissance arch leads from the basilica on Plaza of the Virgin to Valencia Cathedral. Inside the basilica, there is a Gothic-style statue of the Virgin with 2 children at her feet. A mechanical device allows the statue to revolve. Antonio Palomino painted the frescoes on the dome of the nave. Not sure what that means. Folds of the tunic. In 1416, King Alfonso V the Magnanimous stated, the image is constructed such that two of those innocent ones sacrificed for Herod could be concealed within the folds of her tunic. That became known as, and I cannot read it because it's in Spanish. The image was venerated at the hospital oratory until 1487, where it was moved to St. Catherine's Cathedral. Decree of 1493. The brothers' works increased to caring for many disadvantaged people, such as foundlings, orphans, and prisoners, and so a second hospital was built. In 1493, Fernando Art added to the dedication of Our Lady of the Innocent that of the helpless General Hospital. So we're about 100 years in. In 1512, the leaders of the city combined all the city's charitable works into one general hospital. However, in 1545, the General Hospital of Valencia was destroyed by fire, in which 30 patients perished. A new hospital, the Hospital of Saragossa, was built with a specialized area for the care of children. On the 20th of June, 1849, it was renamed the Provincial Hospital. On 21st April, 1885, Pope Leo XIII granted a papal bull naming the Virgin of the Forsaken the patroness of Valencia. Since then, those faithful to the Virgin of the Forsaken have helped children, the elderly, the blind, and the mentally ill. Festival of Our Lady. The Feast of Our Virgin of the Forsaken is held on the second Sunday of May, when Valencians pay tribute to their patron. Late on the eve of the festival at the Plaza de la Virgin, the Valencia Municipal Band performs, followed by fireworks over the towers of Serrano and folk dancing. Early on the Sunday morning, there is an open-air mass. The highlight of the festival takes place on Sunday mid-morning, when the image is carried from her basilica on Plaza de la Virgin at St. Catherine's Cathedral over a distance of approximately 200 meters. She is adored with rose petals being thrown down from balconies and people crying and shaking with the emotion of the spectacle. On Sunday afternoon, when the traslado is completed, there is a loud daytime fireworks display. And the procession, Sunday evening, features a more solemn procession of ladies dressed in black, men in suits, city officials, and the Bishop of Valencia, followed by Our Lady. The route includes the Plaza of the Virgin, Caballeros, it says Placa del Tosal, Balseria, Mercado, Maria Cristina. It seems like a bunch of streets that they walk down. They dress formally and they take the procession very seriously. This is one of the most beautiful statues I have ever seen in my living life. This is the most detailed statue I've ever seen. She's leaning down into it. She's holding a baby. They have spared literally no details in the adorning of this thing. I'm looking at a picture right now. She is adorned in flowers. She is loved. And there's something about her that moves you to tears, that makes you emotional. Like, it is just one of the most beautiful images that I have seen. It's like a radiation of love that comes from this. Even where they keep her, I literally looked at the flowers and I was like, I know that smells good. Like, they chose flowers that literally have very strong scent to them. Every single picture of her, every single one is extremely beautiful. And the first thing that I saw, or that I felt when I saw her, was like, these are all the same energies. It is the same energy. Now, every energy of a female deity or goddess is not necessarily the same energy. There are some energies that are different. This is the energy of love, of just love. Like, even if no one said what she is about, if there were no, this is my first time actually reading through the entire story. The first clip that I read this morning moved me to tears. This makes me emotional again. She is a loving energy. And who do I say that about? Santa Muerte. This is the energy that I get from looking at this statue. But what is the difference between the two? One has skin and one doesn't. A lot of who we are is we always need something that we can relate to. So every culture, they're very big on their gods looking exactly like them. So it's like, if I'm black, then one might assume that I would want my god to be black. And if she is of another culture, of another language, if it is something completely foreign to me, one would not expect that I would be able to embrace it so deeply as I do. Now, prior to feeling this energy, I would understand, because one thing like black people say is like they want a black Jesus. And you know, there's some who are like, well, we don't pray to white Jesus, let's say. But it really is energy. It's about energy at the end of the day. It's literally just about energy. And if anybody's curious, please look up Our Lady of the Forsaken. This has moved me because I instantly was like, this is mother, this is the same energy, it's the same thing. It is the quintessential energy of a mother. The fact that all it talks about is her taking care of others who are forsaken, abandoned children, mentally ill, the homeless. And the fact that people are so moved, like, it's reading that, there is no surprise to me that people come and they cry and all of this, because this kind of humanity, this kind of display of love and compassion is just gonna be moving. It's a moving thing to feel, to be in the presence of that much love. And you can see, like, if anybody's curious, I can't show it. There's no point in showing on my laptop. I've shown pictures on my laptop before, but these are a bit smaller than the ones I've shown. I have never seen a more adorned statue in my life. I mean, the clothing on the statue is so well embroidered. It is the most beautiful. I think that is one of the first things. It is so beautiful, but the only difference between the energy that is so overwhelming just from reading this passage, I don't know what is this energy that they put in the text, or in what it is. It overwhelms you with love just reading it. And I didn't even read the entire story. It is beautiful. That is who my mother is to me. Our mother. That is who she is. She is literally an overwhelming feeling of love. That is all she is. Overwhelming. And for me, I just feel like there's so many elements to it. And it's something that I think as time goes on, possibly all of us are going to, I think these kind of truths, they come out slowly. I remember thinking to myself, there was this thing about that they said about Santa Muerte has never been alive before. And I remember thinking for the longest time, that doesn't feel right in my gut. And even with this saint, it doesn't feel right. I'm not saying that it was recent or anything like that, but it just doesn't feel right that she was never a person. Excuse me, she feels overwhelmingly too much like a mother. This energy feels too much like a human mother to not have been human before. Too compassionate, too kind, too beautiful to have not, like, a real mother. Her energy is too much like a real mother to have not been. There is no disconnect from the human experience enough to say, to even think about her just as a goddess. She feels way more human than that. And the fact that she appears, and there are, like, in such a human form as a human skeleton, I always said all she's missing is skin. But the fact that she appears as a human skeleton, to me, like, it means she's human. Like, if we took our skin off, we would look exactly the same. I think it's helpful that she doesn't necessarily have skin. I think that makes her more, I think it makes it easier for all cultures to accept her, because I feel like as soon as she has a skin, then she becomes like Our Lady of the Forsaken is obviously Spanish, and then maybe other cultures might not be able to embrace her fully because they don't see themselves in her because of the skin. If someone comes in a particular skin, people are gonna say, well, you know, this goddess is Asian or it's black or whatever, and then it's gonna be kind of pigeonholed to that particular culture. So I find it even better that she doesn't have a skin, so you never think about a particular race. I don't think about Santa Muerte as any particular race at all. I do not think about seeing myself in her. I don't think about seeing herself in me. Like, it is just a feeling of love that is so deep and so pure that there is no disconnection, or there is nothing that makes you feel like it's foreign. So I just wanted to share that. It was very touching that I saw it today, and I felt moved to share it. So I am going to read a passage right now for people, I think for a lot of people, but for people who are going through their circumstance, holding on to themselves, meaning they're not succumbing to their circumstance. I think this is something that we all need to hear. And it is, you are safe. So the title, you are safe, you are protected, and you are loved. Oh, I had to read, but this was the Bible passage I had to read. I'm gonna have to read the Bible passage because I have it here. But anyways, this is how it's starting. You are safe, you are protected, and you are loved. So today, I'm going to read the book of Job, chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, or Uz, U-Z, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, the one that feared God and eschewed, E-S-C-H-E-W-E-D. I'm usually good with like phonetics, but I don't know this word. Eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 200 she-asses and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the heaven, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God, and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Does Job fear God for nothing? Hast not thou made an edge around him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. They have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I am only escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and have burnt up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I am only escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, and yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. And then Job arose, and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Job chapter 1. That is the only chapter that I got to read. Job's whole life fell apart at the same time. Everything. All 10 children, everything he owned, all at the same time. So, the message. You are safe, you are protected, and you are loved. Despite appearances and circumstances. Okay, see, when I write these down, sometimes I don't write them in proper sentences where they can be read. So let me try my best to almost like translate my own writing. Despite appearances and circumstances, you must assimilate all challenges as lessons and courses meant to elevate your skill set. The harder a challenge, the more meaningful a desired outcome. The harder a challenge, the more capable the student. Relax into the process. We are walked into lessons, guided to change and evolve, and guided away at the right time. Faith in the divine and our higher selves results in evolution that couldn't otherwise have been achieved. Remember always the promise. Hinge your faith on our shared experiences. I'm talking about God, not me. God. She is saying, hinge your faith on our shared experiences. Trust in the unknown. Mother never fails. Outward conditions may not be ideal, but remember always, nothing has changed. We are experiencing uncomfortable growth. Have strength and wait. Mother is here. Some of these messages are so beautiful. I kid you not. I want to read the entire thing again because it is important for it to really be absorbed. This is not my message. That's why I have to read it. The way this came, I'm not explaining anything. It has to be read. You are safe, you are protected, and you are loved. Despite appearances and circumstances, you must assimilate all challenges as lessons and courses meant to elevate your skill set. The harder a challenge, the more meaningful a desired outcome. The harder a challenge, the more capable the student. Relax into the process. We are walked into lessons, guided to change and evolve, and guided away at the right time. Faith in the divine and our higher selves results in evolution that couldn't otherwise have been achieved. Remember always the promise. Hinge your faith on our shared experiences. Trust in the unknown. Mother never fails. Outward conditions may not be ideal, but remember always, nothing has changed. We are experiencing uncomfortable growth. Have strength and wait. Mother is here. So, I'm going to read something that I'm glad I didn't read initially because I wasn't ready. She's always perfect in the timing. She's amazing at timing, always perfect in the timing of her messages because I had it early and I didn't read it at the time. So I'm going to read this almost like a course manual, and it is called Solutions Over Reactions. The correct attitude, the correct mindset. Genuinely, we are here to learn. We are on a path of enlightenment. We graduate via learned lessons or awakenings. We remember ourselves. It is challenging because we are, in a sense, like almost like galactic police, if you will. We cause transformations everywhere we go just by being there. This is why the world tries to isolate us, because through our presence, we help or heal others. This ascension is a crash course. So if we have things to relearn, they cause repeated cycles. We beg to be released, but only we can trigger release with our growth. Some lessons are passed flawlessly, and in some places we stagnate. Difficult lessons aren't necessarily the hard ones. They are ones we find challenging. For others, the same lesson is seamless. Learning a lesson is closing out a cycle. Only you can solve your own issues or puzzles. You are guided to just allow it, to take the path of allowance. ease into difficult phases, it is time to force cycles shut. Explore the blockages and release or close them. Overcoming a blockage doesn't always initially feel like sweet release. Sometimes it feels chaotic, but you are aware. Awareness is identifying your challenges, identifying the source of the challenges, what keeps you in the same place, how many attempts have you made, and are they all the same repeated attempts? If you progress, what blocks it? How can you remedy each challenge? Once you identify the issues, you can brainstorm the techniques. Resort to breathing through, ignoring, or adapting. And I have here also etc. So once you identify the issues that you have, then you can start brainstorming techniques. And some examples I have here are resort to breathing through it, ignoring things, adapting to things, and etc. Spirit walks us into and out of our own training. Triggers you to inspire others, both good and bad. You inspire sometimes your own, and I have here attacks in quotations. Really, they are just challenges that strengthen you in your weak places. And finding and targeting weak muscles. Those who attack you will try everything. New levels will result in new devils. At times, it feels like there is no change, but there is much change. Experiencing heightened attacks because others can see the changes, and oftentimes these changes are frightening. If you're frustrated, feeling alone or scared, imagine for others who've been assigned to you, and they cannot have the same results with you as you rapidly evolve to absorb attacks. That in itself is scary and perhaps draining. Experience this as a co-journey because it has no choice but to evolve. So you take a path to immunity. 1. Identify the attack and the purpose of it. This takes contemplation and meditation. Contemplating your attack and also meditation. Number 2, identify the hooks that are in you that cause it to be effective. And number 3, eliminate your hooks. Example, anger. One hook might be hating your attacker. Once you heal, okay, so my notes are muddled because I have to scribble this. Let me just read this. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. Once I healed that, I felt either, so hating an attacker, once I healed that, I felt either nothing or compassion. And I see that when I laugh things off. Another hook could be frustration in some way. You have to heal that hook, then the attack will not work. And I have in brackets here alchemy. A hook is what an attack can attach to. The ultimate purpose is to stop, or, well, for me, I know part of why I'm attacked, the ultimate purpose is to distract me from the things that I have to do. By being forced to eliminate hooks, you are healing. And number 4, find a solution to end the control over you. Because when attacks come at you and they work every single time, it has control over you to some degree, and that's why it is constantly repeated. The ultimate goal is non-reaction. You cannot stop external forces, and it's energy expensive to try. It's very expensive of your energy to try to stop things externally. We can control our own reactions, triggers, hooks, healing, and ultimately by choosing solutions over reactions. The path to solutions. 1. Practice behavior. And I have here, takes time. I'm gonna add for myself to this message, do not beat yourself up over it. It adds just more drama and more draining energy than needs to be. Just accept it as it is. Practice behavior takes time. Being fueled by extreme self-control when being, and I have when being gang stalked, but I think this can be applied to any situation that's difficult. Building this muscle. Re-emerge constantly as a new perceived threat. Or sorry, I'm going to read it as it is. It's okay. Okay, I understand what I'm meaning to see here. So attacks re-emerge constantly as a new perceived threat, and use it to and is used to train you with pain signals to not do what you know you must. So these are practiced behaviors. I'm going to read it once more. Practiced behaviors. So a practiced behavior, in order for you to practice the behavior of non-reaction, it's going to take time, and it needs to be fueled by extreme self-control. You have to build this muscle. Attacks are going to re-emerge constantly as a new perceived threat, and they try to train you with pain signals to not do what you know you must. Number 2, when a perceived emergency arrives, you allow yourself to gracefully find a solution, ignoring the complaining or frustration gene. Override that and look for a workaround, ignoring a need to be polished or perfect, ignoring a voice that says it cannot be overcome. Everything is possible. So for example, let's say your internet goes down. Solution, start resolving the internet issue. Ignore the why of why it's gone down. This is how you build a toolkit of solutions. Ignoring the why and the how. Number 3, practice makes perfect. As this newfound skill is identified by your teachers, we will call it, it will be retested until they run out of options to excite your frustrations and reactions. Gracefully, silently, in a focused way, find a new solution. Quickly do it until it becomes normal. This allows you to face all challenges with grace and calm, because it won't matter the changing circumstance, only that you know you will rise to the challenge with ease. So this allows you to face all challenges with grace and calm, because it won't matter the changing circumstances, only that you know you will rise to the challenge with ease. Assurances. Transformation sometimes takes years. You are on time. It may seem like you're not, but you are. Even if you were not, it is still easier not to worry about it or to feel bad, simply to go through your personal development. Your course is being guided. You are not alone. Higher forces, your ancestors, your Holy Mother, your Father, are guiding and protecting us. They understand you're having human reactions and responses. This is a very difficult cycle. This course is handcrafted with your particular gifts and talents in mind. You are the opposite of a disappointment. And number 4, go easy on yourself. You're probably your biggest critic. Release your grading of your progress. Allow seasons of this cycle to change. And the last one says, ease comes as the challenges are met. My intention for tonight was literally to read the message verbatim, because as it came to me, I had to read it over myself because it was perfect as it was. So I'm going to keep my promise to myself that I'm neither going to add or detract from it or explain it. But all I can say is, as we graduate through this thing, it definitely, it's not that it becomes, I can't speak for everyone, but you have to look at it almost in a sense where it's not necessarily like it's becoming more difficult. The landscape keeps changing, and sometimes it is difficult to see a new version again and not see release. But the truth is, the situation has cleared up considerably. It is not as bad as you think. It is much worse for others. It is not a matter of comparison. There are those out there whose mind is under control. They are just as blessed, just as loved, just as gifted, and they are under a sort of mind control, a sort of spell, because they cannot see through the illusion. Silence will bring more time for contemplation and meditation and understand what's going on and understand the motivation behind what's happening in the way that it's happening. And from that place, you can start to understand what the illusion is. So this is where we are being guided at this time. So happy I'm recording this as a video. Please re-listen to it a lot, because even me reading it, I'm just like, this is jam-packed with messaging. And I just love when she gives the message, because I try to sometimes in past videos break it down and make it make sense with analogies and all that. But you know what, as she's given it, I think it can apply to many different people, many different ways. So take from it what you will, what you must. And this is probably going to be my shortest live video because this is it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for having a listen. I just want to repeat, you are safe, you are loved, you are protected. Remember the promise and remember your shared experiences, and just trust and have faith every day. And lastly, this is my personal advice, so I'm sure she feels the same way, is please cultivate positive energy within you. It is normal to have all kinds of feelings. It is normal because you're human and because the situation is difficult. Try to cultivate feelings of positivity inside of you. It may take time, may take a couple hours, a couple days. Get back to where you're supposed to be. Follow your path and do what you're supposed to, and just relax in the process and wait it out. So anyway, thank you for listening. Have a beautiful evening, and remember that God loves you genuinely. Have a good night.